Hello, this is Max Drake. I'd just like to talk about this program that I've been developing, which I think is quite a useful little productivity tool. It's time capture. So if I just click on it, you'll see it's thinking about it. One of the things that it's going to do straight away is, if I just use Alt 3, it does this little pop-up box. Now what this does is that you can book some time to something and you can actually choose your own projects that you want to do. Now there's blank in here, and I've specifically left that blank so that you can choose your own projects. So let's go and do that now. So we're just going to cancel out of that one at this point in time, and we're going to go, we've got the little clock down on the thing. This you'll find will actually come into the tool tray. So if we go onto there, that's the running, actually I should put the hotkeys onto there. First of all, we can actually upload the project code. So let's do that. So what we need to do to upload the project codes, which will now go and open a file, and here it is, and we can choose a file. When it thinks about it, my OBS just seems to be taking a very long time. Now I'm just pulling up a text file, and all it has is a whole list of items that you need in there, and we'll actually just look at one of those here at this point in time. And this is one here, so you can actually have your project codes in here. This is the one that I'm actually using myself. So I've got one at nil just in case I'm, and that one I don't need to use now. This is one that I use. I just have one at nil. I've sort of got distracted onto something else. I'm not working on my projects. I've got distracted to something else. So I just put it down as that, or I haven't got a descriptor for it. I can actually describe it further down in the notes. Then I've got particular ones that I'm actually doing and I'm spending time on. So I can actually just pull those ones down, and those are my codes. So your project codes go in here. One code going for each line. Make sure the codes are in quotes. So they have to be in quotes. So even this thing here works as long as it's quotes. And also you'll see there's no blanks at the end of the lines. So as long as you have those, you can have as many as you like. So if you've got 50 project codes or 100, that's fine. So if we just go back to the program again, so which is Alt 3, we pull up the program there, sorry, and that shows, but we haven't got the project codes into here. Oh, sorry, they've now loaded it up into there. So all we actually did was we loaded them. And then did we see how that was actually done? No, well, we selected the file and it pulled them in. So you can actually see which ones have come through there, but as they are there. So I can now assign some time to one that I'm doing, and I can go one, this is a demo vid, and I can then go down and do another line. There is more info to come, and I can now commit that. Now that actually just gets pushed to a file. Now there is a preset file that actually has it to begin with, so I'm suddenly pulled off that project onto something else. I can go through there. So here it's coming through. First of all, it's coming through as a bit of time, and it's actually telling you what is actually you've just put in there with a little bit of a snippet of the text that you've written, and also which file it's going to there. So that's actually telling you the file through there. So first of all, you can actually upload your own project codes as long as they're in this text file format. So as long as you actually have that format, it will work perfectly. And I'll tell you how that works in there, and what it actually does inside the file is creates this project code ini file. And if we just look in that one there, you'll see that we actually have those lines of any codes through there. So there it is. It's giving you the total number of lines, and it's saying what those ones are. Now, if I choose to actually say I want another one, it will just delete this file and it will overwrite another lot. So you end up with a new file with a whole lot of information in there. So that's handy, is that if you're updating your codes monthly or weekly or something like that, or you actually have some things, you can actually get people to assign this, and you can share just this file here, which is your project codes file, and the file, and then everybody in your office can actually use that quite easily. So that's one thing that you can use. The second thing on it is everybody may want to put that information in a different file in a different location. So we can actually go out 6 is the one that we do. So we can actually create a new file as to what we want it to do. Now there's two things which I've got to highlight here. So you can take the file, the funny bunny. One of the things that I quite doing is I just put a date on the end, and then I can call it a .text file or a .csv file. And my recommendation would be to use a .text file. Then if you want to load it into Excel or anything like that, you can actually just change the .txt to a .csv, because it's a comma delimitator file. We will look at it in a minute. So this is actually saying I want to now start storing all my information to a new one, and I want to be storing it, and I'm just going to be a bit lazy here and just go in and find my particular project folder that I'm actually using everything in here, and go and put it into there. B. So it's now got a project folder, and it should create a new file in here quite soon for that. So the next time I do this, I'm going to go Alt 3 and run another one, and then I'm going to work on this particular project through here, and I'm going to say 1 to the shops and 2 bought tea. Who cares? And then that will now go through, and I'm just booking an hour for that as well at this point in time. Now I suddenly go, oopsie, I shouldn't have booked a whole hour, I want to book half an hour. I can actually just book, so there it goes, it's in there, that, and I've got it under a certain project. I can go Alt 4, and what this will do is it's just opened it up straight away. The funny bunny, and there's a text file, and I'm suddenly saying, well, actually, no, that one should be on star nil star, because I'm not doing that. And in fact, I did want an hour on there. I actually only wanted 0.5 of an hour through there, so I can go save. Now, this is a thing that I just want to point out here on this. I'm now going to run another one. So Alt 3 is another one that I'm actually going to do. I'm going to go 2 hours, and I'm going to put it into another project through here, and I'm just going to go, who cares? Now, because I'm in Notepad++, it's saying this one is modified. Do you want to modify it? So it's actually holding those information back, and it then updates this. If you do this as a CSV file and you go Alt 4, which means go and open that file, it will open the .csv file in Excel. But if that file's open in Excel and you write another record to it, because it's open in Excel, Excel blocks you from writing to that file. So even if you close, unless that file is closed as a .csv, you won't be able to write to it. So what I find is it's safer to write to a text file and then modify the text file later on to do that. So we're just going to write another one here, and this one's going to be called, we're going to book 3 hours to Funny Bunny 2 or something to process, and the process is still going on. And we go, okay. Now, at this point in time, it's going to say it's updated, so we're actually seeing this in Lifetime. And then I'm going to suddenly say, oh, look, I've got all of that spelt wrong, so I can actually just go through and respell that. This is incorrectly spelled. And there I have that. So if I now save that and just do it, I've got that information through there. So in this one here, if I was to actually just close this text file here now, and we'll go and find where the text file is through here, and it was the Funny Bunny. There we are. Now, the other thing which this does as well is it also creates a backup file. Now, I'm just going to open this backup file here. So when it's writing to the main file, I'm just also, to make it safe, also making it write to a backup, and I'm just making that backup file a CSV, because a lot of the times this is actually just capturing information as you're going through and working through your day. So we're not processing that data and actually allocating that data into different things. When we come into this particular program, it's actually mirroring the information that we've got in the first one, and here it comes up and it's showing that information through there. So we've got those ones there. So this one straight away, I can actually just go through into here, insert a header file, and then I can actually apply a filter on that one. Oh, sorry, I've got to select the range, so I just go and select. And then I can actually say, show me everything on so-and-so date. So, okay, then, well, we haven't got many choices on here. So I'm actually going to show me everything that doesn't include that one there. Oh, I didn't do that one very well, did I? Untick that, okay. And then maybe I want to sum the hours through there. So I can quickly go through and filter and modify the information as I want to play with it. Now, one of the things that you've got to be a bit careful of here, the way that I've got this structured at the moment, now a nice little elegant thing, if we just go back and just go a pop-up through here, what it's doing is it's getting the time of the day, it's getting the date, and it's also getting the user. So whatever you logged in your computer as, that's your username, and that's what is allocating to. So you can see this extra information through here, which has that extra allocated information there. Now, one of the things, I'm going to have to shut this down here because we can't actually have it going, so we're going to not bother saving it. And we're not going to save because we want to write to the main file, so we're going to write to the backup file as well. One of the little cautious tales that I actually have as well is if you go in here and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I want something clearer, so the tree is brown, the sky is blue, the fish are wet. Now I'm using commas in here. Now when I save this to there and then I go and reopen this again, it's finally got into there, so we're now thinking about it here. What this do, because this is a comma delimited, comma separated file, anytime you use commas in text, oh come on, this isn't rocket science, mate. It's going to move them and jump them across into a new cell. So that's one of the issues. So that's why in some ways you've just got to be careful when you're in this box here. Don't use commas, use dashes, use whatever else you want, but don't use commas, because all it's saying is you then just move that onto the next cell along. And so that can be an issue. So far we've been able to put in new projects. We've been able to put in, so here, you see here, it's now pushed all of those things into 3 separate, I'm just going to drag that bit there across. So instead of my username all lining up in the same cell, because of the comma, it's separated them into different cells. These have jumped across another 2. So somehow I've got to cut and paste these back into this one here again, just so that they all line up correctly. So just be aware of that. It's just the nature of the beast as far as it's a CSV file, and this is really just an exercise on doing this. Don't save the changes, and there we are again. The next thing that we want, so now we can actually, each person can actually choose what they actually, the file name that they actually want to save to. And again, I use a date just because I might be actually capturing my information on a weekly basis, or I might be capturing it on a monthly basis, but the file's good having a date on the end of it, so that when I come to do a new file and I have a new date, I can save that somewhere else or whatever. I know that that differentiates it each time that I'm doing it, so I know I'm not overwriting anything at all. The last thing I actually want to talk about is there's one which is Alt +7, if we go through into here, and this allows you to modify your keys. So I've got Alt +3, so I'm going to use Control Shift 4, which I've now reassigned that one to. Now that's a bit complicated, so I'm just going to use Control 0 for that one, and that one there I'm going to use Control 9, and that one there Control 8. Now, if I end up just going control and then suddenly I've got nothing on here and I'm suddenly thinking, oopsie, and I go OK, it does actually keep the original key for whatever one that was remapping to. So now, if I actually want to use that program, I'm going to go Control 0 and up it pops. So that's now reassigned those keys to how I want it. So now, if I shut this program down, which is actually just, I think it's Alt 8, closes that program down. So if we just go and look in our tray, it's now disappeared. Now we're going to start it up again. This one keeps in this file underscore hotkeys ini. That's where it keeps the hotkeys that you've remapped, so the ones that your particular preference ones, and it also keeps the file location of where you've actually assigned where you want it to write all of that information to. So there's a projects code ini, so that if I suddenly decide that I wanted a different projects code, I could go and use that one. And we've got that. So now if I go and open that, I've got to use Control 0 and it opens up. If I just cancel out of that, use Alt 3, nothing happens because we've reassigned it. Oh, it's actually gone onto something that's, I think that's opening PowerShell. So Control 0 now works for that. Now if I want to read the file, I just go Control 9. I might need to get out of that. And there it's opened up that file with all of that information. And you can see there it's got the tree is brown. Now if we just change that to a dash, so a lot of the times I actually just put numbers in front of them. And what I've got by default, and 3, is I've actually got a HTML break line, so it breaks the line down. Not that it does it, it's just a filler, a gap, just to put something in between the text as you go down a different line. So, and that one there, we didn't actually assign a project to it, so we can just go the tree project. So, I think it's a pretty useful tool in that it's actually capturing things, and I find this really handy to use all the time. Now, the next thing is, what time are you booking against this? So this is a little thing that I just want to talk about here. So I'm just going to, oh blast, I shouldn't have exited out of it, but never mind, I will. Wrong one again, and we're into here. I've actually got this thing called Desktop Alarm Stop Clock, and it's an exe file, and it just runs this program straight away. So it's now going to open it up. And this is done by Hellbent or Civ Reborn, and in the thing it shows it. So if you put your mouse on the text, you can drag it across to where you want it. Now, if you right-hand click on it, it disappears, but I need to drag these down here. It has this little turquoisey little box that I actually have down here. So if I right-hand click, mouse click on that one there, it pops up again. And if I right-hand click, it hides it again. So what I actually find I do is inside here, there's a thing called a stopwatch. Now I've got it set to start, so I can actually start doing my time. So as soon as I'm working on a particular project, I'm working away on this particular project, that stopwatch is just ticking along there. And then somebody says, can you just move on to something else? I can actually go pause on that. I can actually go, what is it? It's now Control O, that's what we mapped to there. And I can actually just go 13 seconds, just for seconds onto that. And I'm working on a particular project over here, which is that one there, and just started on doors. So I know what I'm doing. So when I come back to this later, I can actually use that as a convenient way just to make sure that I'm guided back into what I want. Now, what I can actually do is I can reset that and I can start again on whatever the assignment somebody else has given me. So maybe I'm working on and that's updated there. I'm working on doing some emails for somebody or something like that. So what I can actually say, I've gone and done their bit of task of work. I can now pause that, and I can suddenly say, and that's how long that's actually taken me. I can just go out 3. Oh, sorry, it's not out 3 because we've remapped it to control 0. It can come up to there, so I can actually say 20 seconds, and I was working. It was an oddie, so I'll put it onto nil, and I'll just say client Bob. Bob. Joe Blow asked me to email blah. So I've got that assigned. I know when that is. I've got the time. I've actually got the date. I can do OK on that one. I can now clear that out and go back to start again. So I can start on that, and I can sort of think, oh, what was I actually working on? So I can actually just go out 4. Oh, sorry, no, it's control 9 now because I'm remapping. So this is a bit of a pain. So it'll now open that up, and we've had a modification. Oh, look, I was working on the security locker, and I was just starting on the doors. And then you can suddenly think, oh, good, I can go back to that. And oh, look, on that one there, I missed about that. So I've got that tidied up there. So I can just go save there. So not only do we have this record, but if something happens and this file gets deleted, we've also still got the backup file, the funny bunny backup file. So that's quite good. So let's just go through one other little thing. So this is, I find this timer absolutely fantastic. And the fact that most of the time I've got it hidden down there, so I've just got this little indicator saying that it is there, not necessarily whether it's running or not running, but it's just discreetly out of the way, and so I can get on with my tasks and doing the things like that, but I know that I've got that running down there, so I can be doing all of my projects and all of the things that I actually want. Then I'm starting to think, well, how long was I doing that? Or let's just stop the clock, that I've got to go and do something else. And what I actually find with this is that I'm actually identifying a hell of a lot more effectively work that I'm actually doing, and also just how many disruptions I'm getting in the day. So this is actually a good indicator of you've got you can capture the time and the patterns of when you're working about that, and you can do with something. So this is almost like a very simple collection method of doing it. And you can assign your own hotkeys to do it. You can assign your own project code. So if you actually find when you're coming through, you've got your text file with your project codes, and then you're suddenly thinking, I keep on getting dragged on to this other project one. Sorry, I want to go back to that one there. And my project codes, and I've got one that is actually called Boss Irritating Me Massively. Wasting my productive time. And since that's got all of the things that I want in it, I'm just going to save that file now, and I'm just going to go back into I think it's Alt 5, or did I remap that to a Control 8 maybe? If we have difficulty through there on that as well, what I can do is right hand click on here. Oh, here it's coming up. It's just a bit slow. The issue that I've actually got with that is that I'm now going to reload those project codes. I think it's the one that I was called. Is that project? No, that's project codes quotes is the one that I'm using there. So if I reload those ones now, when I actually go Control 0 and I open up a new one to do some reporting, we should have no. Why hasn't that come up? That should. We've saved that. We loaded it. Let's just have a look in our project codes file. So it's loaded, but I haven't done it. So in fact, that's an interesting one through there. That what I've actually got to do is I've actually just got to exit the program and I've got to restart it again because it hasn't refreshed it. It read it the first time, but now I've restarted that program again through there. And now if I go Control-0, if I come through here, it's now reading boss irritating massively, wasting productive time. So I can actually add extra codes on that may be unique to me. It's like these codes here are the general office codes, but maybe I'm only working on these first 4. So I don't need these other codes in there. So maybe I need them organized into a different method. So I actually have that one first. So I'm always working on that one, but then I jump into these other ones. Again, don't leave a gap between those because it then reads those gaps and just reads it as an error. And you don't want any empty lines, so just make sure that the last line is that as well, and you're safe to go. So on this particular one here, just going through and demonstrating that again, if I just go, I think it was Control-8. Oh, sorry, that was the other thing that I wanted to demonstrate as well. So the other thing that we can actually do on there is that we can actually run these. If we right-hand click down here, all of those functions we can do from a right-hand context menu at this point here. So we're now going to choose a different lot of codes. So we're going to choose another lot of codes through there, which are these ones here, which are those ones through there. Now, again, because of that, I've got to go onto my context menu, back through there, and we just exit the program there, and then we'll just restart it. Now, if you do, one of the things that you can do with that is you can trigger this so that it starts automatically and comes into your tray first thing in the morning. Like that one's sitting there. I've got a whole load of little hotkey things to do that. And what you can do is that you can put it in your start menu. And the way that you would actually do that is you would go into your file that you want, and here's that one here. If I right hand click on that, it's going to think about it because this is OBS, it's worst or best or whatever, and I'm not asking you to run it, I'm just asking for some information. Something else is running and it doesn't like it. Try again. Let's just see if I can do it on another file. No, something's, don't know why it's there. If you right hand click on that, you can go in and you can make a shortcut to that file. If you create that shortcut to the file, you can then go into, here we are, create shortcut. So that's all we're going to do. So it'll just actually take that one through there and it'll create the link to the shortcut. And then you can go X. So we copy that and then we go into the start and type run, and we go enter into run, and then we type shell : startup, or no gaps in between, shell : startup, and go OK, and it'll open up that particular directory, and you move that startup folder, that shortcut folder B into there. And that means every time you start your computer, it'll open that program up for you. So you shut your computer down, when you start it up again, that will actually be in your startup menu. So that's how you do that, and then you don't have to think about it, and then you just have to call those hotkeys off whenever you want. And if you have different projects or different project naming things that you need, that's also something convenient. I just find this thing just so easy to use, you don't have to think about it. And it just pops up, and I actually find it very useful. The fact that you can go in and you can actually edit the text file after you've done it later, you suddenly think, oh, I just remembered I had another hour on doing that or something like that. So what I would actually recommend that you do is your main file, save it as a .text. Then when you want to load it up at the end of the week so that you can book your hours onto different projects and things like that, or different clients, then you just use your Excel. So you change the end from .txt to .csv, and you then just open it in Excel and then save it as an Excel file, or you can open it in Google Sheets, of course. You can just go into a spreadsheet thing and actually manipulate as you wish. But I find this so convenient to actually cap things. Now, again, my main objective of this was to make it reasonably robust, number one. It was to make it an executable file, because if for myself, I'm actually running .ahk files. So they're script files, but I've got to have the program order hotkeys running on my computer to actually run those files. And this is just something that you can share with everybody. So as long as you actually share there's only two files that you need to share. You need to share the actual program file itself. Sorry, that's that one. I don't actually want to start that, although maybe I should. You need so the only two files that you actually need are your project file, the time capture file, and the project codes text file. It will write everything else. And the other one is if you want to use the time clock to do that. I find that the time clock one works for me, is that it's sort of just counting up all the times. I may look to try and integrate a time clock into this later on as a start-stop, so that maybe I can actually do a start-stop into there. But at this point in time, my learning exercise was actually just getting this particular tool with a pull down that I've actually got project code through there to that point. So here's an interesting thing. If you look at the actual code, it's 11 kilobytes, but the actual exe is 1,342 kilobytes. Because what order hotkeys does is it takes the whole order hotkeys program, stuffs it in with the script file, or puts a script file into the order hotkey program and changes it into an exe file. So that means it can be shared with everybody. The other thing with if you download this on the, I've got to give a link to the GitHub page where you can download all of these infinite bits of things in there. So the project codes that we've got in there, those are actually in, you'll see that just gets written every time you do it. So it just writes them through there. And automatically, as soon as you run it, it does two things. It creates a hotkeys so that it has the original assignments of what the hotkeys are to begin with. And we can see these ones are being reassigned to control +0, control +9, control +8, and these ones haven't. And it also has where we're putting the file. So that's if you suddenly forget which file you've actually split all your timesheets to, you can go and find it in there. And it also creates this time capture. So it's assumed that you haven't actually done that part of the exercise yet. Now, on the actual GitHub page itself, you will see all of that explanation through there. So all of that information is through there for you already. So I hope that's been of interest to you. I found it a very good tool. I think it's a very good one for freelancers who are actually doing, if they're doing something by, well, actually, even if they're doing something by project, you still need to know where your time and your resources are going, so that you can then make sure that you can bill properly, or else the fact is that later on, if somebody wants you, you can quote properly. You know actually how much time you're actually spending on a project to what you're actually delivering, because there's always those sneaky hours that get chewed out somewhere, and then you're suddenly thinking, well, I've been working really hard, but at the end of the day, I'm quoting really badly, so my marketing side's not doing too well. Anyway, I hope that's been of interest to you. Thank you very much for watching. If you found it useful, please give a thumbs up, and I'll have the link to all of these things through here. So thank you very much.